Hungry Games, man. You're not hungry anymore. It's coming to an end. Finally.
The rest of the meal.
Finally, yes, people. We are getting the end of the Hunger Games. And while I hate to see good things, for the most part, come to an end, I've been waiting for this for a long time. I've been waiting for somebody to get their ass whooped.
Oh, that's right.
One particular person.
One particular person. I've been waiting for years for one particular person.
Have you, though? I feel like you look up to this person. You want to be this person.
Right. You don't want him gone.
Yeah.
You like having him there.
You want to learn from him.
Oh, man, that is a conflict because this particular person that we're talking about, while I hate him, he's cool than a motherfucker, man. But what, you know who we're talking about. We'll touch on that in a little bit. But for right now, let's go ahead and get into this Hunger Games Mockingjay Part 2. Oh, shit, it's on now. Katniss is walking out, and she's saying, I've had enough. I've been dealing with this goddamn snow for almost a decade.
Tired of this shit.
I'm tired of this shit. Sick and tired of being sick and tired. Katniss Everdeen and her militarized unit, they leave District 13 to finally take down President Snow and liberate those under his tyranny. But things become complicated as, of course, Snow is always one step ahead. He amps up his forces that are far deadlier than anything that they've seen in the games. And there's also this growing sense of dread in Katniss's own faction. For those of you who have read the books, you know exactly what we're talking about. But for people like me, the cool thing about these movies is that I get to go in fresh.
True.
After the last movie, which was kind of slow to me. You see the last movie, Tommy?
Yeah, I did.
It was a little bit slow, but everybody kept telling me it's going to be a bigger build-up to something that's going to be grand for this finale right here. And Martin, you one of those people telling me that. And I said, you know what? That's what I want, because I know y'all ain't going to close out this last movie right here and still had that motherfucking Snow. He just still ain't worried, still cool, still sitting up there like ain't shit wrong,
Ain't broke a sweat in what? 3 movies?
In 3 movies,
Yeah.
we talked about ain't broke a sweat. People, normally this villain, a villain like this, I say he's just lazy. Just sit on his ass all day, look pretty, talk shit, sniffing flowers all day, and just grinning the whole time. And I'd say, you know what? How could that be a great villain? He don't do shit, but talk shit. But it's that cool factor, man. It's that cool factor that's there. It does 2 things. One, it pisses you the fuck off, man.
The fact that nothing's bothering him bothers you.
Ain't nothing worse than a dude that talks shit and it's grinning the whole time he's just talking about your ass. Yeah. Look at, I called you a bitch. What you gonna do about it? Just fucking smile. Like he just sit up there just talking,
just giggling.
Giggling.
And you aren't gonna do a thing.
You ain't you ain't gonna do a goddamn thing. Who the fuck you think? Look at them shoes you got on. Dude.
What are those?
And the other thing is that it's scary. Because the guy who sits up there and doesn't worry about anything, you, like I said, you know he's 2 steps ahead of you. And you know that he already has his next move planned. And that makes you kind of fearful, because throughout these whole films, the reason why he's been smiling the whole time is because he has been ahead of everything these people have done. And these movies have shown us that he has no qualms about putting out the deadliest force that he can, no matter who you are. And that is why at this moment right here, we have Katniss Everdeen, who says, you know what? I don't know what better way to put this. I got to kill this motherfucker. Right.
You saw Peter, didn't you? Did you tell him hi for me? We're old friends, We had adjoining cells in the Capitol. We're very familiar with each other's screams.
I'm going to kill Snow.
She's like, bitch, don't tell me that. She's like, you about to get me killed. I don't want to hear that.
Already been through some shit.
I'll tell you, Jenna Malone, she does a great job with that small role,
makes the
man.
most of it.
Yeah, she really does. She has a lot of hatred to the point where you can tell, like, she doesn't care who gets hurt as long as she can get back at Snow and the government. With those minutes, she just oozes venom, man. And while it could turn her ugly, you're like, shit, I can't blame her, man. Girl got her ass whooped, took and made a bald headed and shit. It's fucked up, man. With the summation of that phrase right there, I've got to kill Snow, it fits the tone of the film, because in this, at the beginning, it throws you right in, man.
Yeah, like I said, the last movie was all set up just to get here.
Yeah, with this throws you right into the film. This is probably the one that you can say is a true action film. It is so fast that they don't have a whole lot of time to spend on a lot of subplot. They don't have a whole lot of time to spend on a lot of character. There are parts in there where we've seen throughout the years this whole relationship with Peeta, played by Josh Hutcherson, and Katniss, of course, Jennifer Lawrence. We've seen that kind of play into the mix because that's what we expect of a YA novel.
Right.
At this point, they don't even have time for that. They are in a rush to get.
Glad about that.
Yeah, they are in a rush to get this thing going. You got little bits of moments here and there because for the female fans, they have to put it in there.
Yeah, well, fuck, they gave that its own movie the last time. That's pretty much all they focused on.
Exactly.
Yeah, it was enough to explore that, but it also, as far as the triangle goes, it really does cap it off. Like so many other movies, like, well, we got this triangle, we just got to work it as long as we can, and you get moments here where it's just kind of like, all right, I guess I can see where this is going, so I'm gonna back off.
Yeah,
me and you are clearly not gonna be together.
Yeah, and plus the movie just says, you know what, it's the last film. We know y'all gonna try to hook up. Let's just keep it going.
You should get some rest. You're still trying to protect me.
And the movie's like, all right, just that's fine. Let's just go. It's like that's enough. Whatever little romance and like lovey-dovey shit y'all got going, pick that shit up later. I appreciate that because a lot of people go in here and they're like, man, we see these YA movies and a lot of them, especially the ones that are meant for girls. A lot of guys are saying, God damn, out of all this stuff that's happening,
you worried about
this.
Yeah.
And the movie's like, no, we ain't that. I will say though that Josh Hutcherson, he has probably come along as being the most developed character in the series. I didn't think that he would be that guy. I didn't even like him at the beginning of the series.
Right.
Because before, when the series started, he looked too much like a little boy to me. Katniss was trying to split herself between Bargain Bin Thor and Josh Hutcherson. I was like, that's a fucking no-brainer right there, man.
Yeah, right. That's what I'm saying.
But that was just it. She didn't love Peeta. It's just like he loved her so much that she's kind of came into it, and it was off of that. Because you get to the end of the first movie, and he's like, "Wow, so we're in love, right?" And she's like, "Yeah, it's a great show we put on those cameras. See ya." And he's sitting there, yeah. He's like,
It's like, fuck, I thought we were going to get laid. I have to say that I think the reason why I see him as a character that's developed the most, well, in the movie, he's the most conflicted character. He's the one that actually has the most to redeem himself for. He has the most consequences for his actions. But in addition to that, Josh Hutcherson has actually grown into the role because he grew into his chin. That motherfucker as a kid, he had as a fucking 8-year-old boy, he always had a man chin. I mean,
That's true.
Look at this shit. He's always had a man's chin, and I say, you know what? When is his head gonna grow into that?
I think anyone could be a bigger authority on that than you yourself.
Oh fucking boy, it was my head that I grew in.
It's a chin too.
It was north.
Shit, with me it's north and south, so I relate. Yeah, so he grew into that jaw right there, man.
Welcome to the club.
Good actor though. I will say in the movie he's I actually like him more than anybody in the film. It's almost like Katniss and Jennifer Lawrence. I hate to say it, but Jennifer Lawrence seems like she might have outgrown this.
Yeah.
She's a big star now. When she started out, Oscar winner.
Yeah.
She had something to prove in that first.
She did.
In that first movie. Not a lot of people knew her. I see her now, and it's like, man, I'm not gonna say she looks bored. I'm not gonna say she doesn't appreciate the material, but that the way that character's written in this finale right here, she's just kind of walking through it, man.
I noticed that watching the trailers and like the TV spots. I'm like, she's not showing much emotion, really anything.
I don't know. I never got that watching it. I mean, maybe if I see now you put it in my head, I would look for it. But the whole time watching, I never thought, she doesn't seem like she's invested.
It's not that she's bad. It just seems like that character.
She has a scene where she breaks down and she throws all into that.
That's later in the movie, near the beginning. I don't know if she's holding back or not, but I'm not saying it's even bad. I'm just saying compared to other people.
Well, I think it's also like you follow the character at this point. Like she's been through war. And it's just more her being battle hardened and just showing her resolve. Like, fuck everybody and everything else. I gotta kill Snow. I know that President Coin is trying to get me to do what she wants me to do. I got to do this.
And you know what? You were right, man, because she is sort of battle hardened, and she's been having to have a strong face for not only the people who are the common people, but she's also have to do it for the troops and everybody else.
She's got to do the propaganda films, and they saying, "Oh, do it like this." She's like, "What about these people? Like, don't worry about that. Just do what we tell you."
And speaking of military stuff here, just to show you how much of a military movie this is, or how much of an action film this is, it's very militarized.
Oh yeah.
People might not like that it's so much of an action film. People might have the complaints about this not being able.
When do people complain about something being too much of an action film?
Well, with this, when it's taken away from the characters, people can say that it's probably too much of an action film. But I will say that this is the one that stands out the most, for better or for worse, because this one, at times, like I said, you don't even feel like it. It feels, actually, to its credit, it actually feels like it's more of a real world when you get into the military than it does a fantasy world. And there are moments where you feel like, man, am I watching a war film?
Each one of you is elite in some form of combat, but we are a non-combat unit, so we'll be following days behind the frontline troops.
You're to be the on-screen faces of the invasion, the Star Squad. It's been decided that you're most effective when seen by the masses.
So we're not gonna fight.
You do whatever you're ordered to do, soldier. It's not your job to ask questions.
Shut the fuck up.
Yes, sir.
Our unit has been given a holo, a database that contains a detailed map of the capital and a list of every known pod. These pods can trigger anything from bombs to traps to mutts. Whatever they contain, they're meant to kill you.
You know he's serious, because that's the widest that brother's eyes. A lot of people, they're going to go in, and you're going to be expecting something cute. Like I said, y'all going to go in expecting like Katniss and Peter to be hugging and kissing throughout the film, and there's going to be a little action here and there. No, this shit is rough, man. It really is the grimmest, darkest of all these movies
I've read
right
the
here.
last book. I mean, yeah, so I know how
Yeah.
dark the shit gets.
It's like, and it just goes to show you, it is so dark. You really, you want people to get shot. You want people to get blown up, because if they don't, and they get caught by one of those pods, it's going to be a horrible fucking
Way
death.
worse, yeah.
I mean,
Those pods don't play.
as much as I like President Snow, you see those pods and what he thinks up, and it's like, what kind of fucking evil person are you,
to
man?
just see his mind and the shit that he
Like, what kind of person are you where your job is to sit around and think of like slime monsters, humanoid slime monsters, to not even benefit the military, to fucking kill kids.
children, yeah.
Children.
Yeah.
They created this shit to eat kids, man.
It's funny. Well, you can also see how the budget has increased for the movies, because in the first movie, those
Mutts.
those mutts
Yeah.
were supposed to look more like this. And they're like, hey, man, we just did the best we could. But now they're like, all right, we got some money now.
Yeah.
Oh, hell yeah. No, those dogs from that first movie,
compared to that.
that looked like shit out of some out of Super Mario Brothers. This shit right here.
Yeah, that's
Yeah, man.
horrifying.
When they're moving through the Capitol, trying to get there and dodge the pods and all the death traps. I mean, I read in the book, and it was scary enough, but just watching it, I'm like, sure they capture that, because you just feel on edge the whole time.
Yeah.
And they're like, okay, this hallway is safe. You're like, I don't know, man. I think I'm gonna just sit right here and not move that way or that way.
Somebody throw a rock down there. And
Yeah,
see if
something.
happens.
Yeah. How about you go first? You know what President Snow is? President Snow, he's the saw puppet if he became president.
He's the saw guy.
Yeah, he's the saw guy. It's a well-directed movie. Don't get me wrong. It's an extremely well-directed film. But at the same time, like I said, I think it moves so fast that the problem that I have with it is that it seems like it's not a self-contained film. It really does feel like it's part of another movie. Yeah. I know there's a part one, but take, for example, Return the Jedi. Return the Jedi, that's a part of a trilogy. But you can watch that movie and see where they introduce new things, set up something really cool at the beginning. This feels like I came into half of a show, and I know it's meant for people who watch it, but it still doesn't work for the narrative too much, because, like I said, to feel like half a show feels like half a story. Yeah. Feels like they don't really have time to develop these characters anymore. And I know it's the last movie, but it really should feel. I can tell you, in all those Harry Potter movies, you felt those were real characters. This is the one where I feel like everybody's there to be a part of this big platoon and just be killed. Yeah. Except for the characters that you absolutely know are going to live. And even then, it's kind of like, well, all right, we know Katniss' story. We don't have to develop that too much. That's why I like Peter so much in the movie, because he's the one that at first seemed like a side character, and he plays this huge part in this particular story right here.
I disagree a lot. When you say he feels like a side character, he was always a main. Like he's the co-main character.
He was a supporting character, but now he feels like more of a main character than the rest of the
He's been germane to this from the very from beginning to end, and he's just out of it for a little bit. But he felt more like a side character maybe in this one, just because he comes in so late in this particular part of the story. But he was never a side character. Of all the things you're saying, I don't see how you got that.
Well, maybe you misunderstand when I say a side character. He's not Katniss. You know, he's a supporting character. He's a main supporting character, but he's a supporting character. But what I'm saying is, even as being a supporting character who was not on Katniss's level, I think he surpassed her as a character. I think that character, as far as being a fleshed out person, feels like for the end of this movie, it feels like that's the character that actually made the most the biggest distance as far as coming along in their story arc than anybody else. And I think that that's a flaw in the film, that it feels a little rushed to me.
I disagree, in as much as this is telling the whole story that is so much about Katniss from her perspective that it's by the time it gets here, we don't need to go deeper into her, because you pretty much have it all. And everything you're saying, I remember those criticisms about those last 2 Harry Potter movies, and you were like, no, you got to look at both of them. That's the only way to judge this. And that's the same here, where you had part 1 that's really all the setup to get to this part. You have to look at them as really as one movie that was just too long to release as one thing.
I don't know what they could have done, and Martin has been disagreeing with me on everything else. I know you're going to disagree with me on this, but they got scenes of Philip Seymour Hoffman in there. And you could tell they ran, because he's dead,
right?
And they were, yes. I don't know if anybody told you, Tommy, but Philip Seymour Hoffman he died, man.
I got that note.
Okay, so you could tell that they, at least it seems this way to me, they ran out of footage. So it's like he's got a few moments of dialogue early on, and then the rest of the movie he's looking like that, just staring off and smiling at things.
Really?
And it's almost like they took the footage when they were rolling the camera before they yelled action, where he just sit up there just waiting for them to say something. They just used that. There are moments he's sitting up there like, I'm so proud of what these people have done. And it's like, that seems weird, man. You were talking your ass off at the beginning of the movie.
I was actually surprised about him being in so much of this one. I was like, damn, I thought they ran out of stuff until it plays to the end. I was like, totally forgot how important he was to all this.
Yeah.
Never mind. Okay. Yeah, that's why they had to, like, they had to be devastated when he died. I was thinking it was like, well, it's kind of an inconvenience, but then looking back at it as it gets to the end, it's like, holy shit.
Yeah.
They must have been freaking out. Like, somebody get Jack Black on the phone right now.
When Philip Seymour Hoffman died, if you heard somebody say, shit, that was the studio. It was, yeah, man. It's and you're right. At least they didn't pull some shit where they had to like have him look at the screen. His head was not. Both of them moving in different directions and shit. So I give them credit for that. They used it well. For those who have been anticipating this, and you are a huge fan of this series, I don't think you're going to be disappointed. I mean, I wasn't disappointed. I thought it was very intense. The stakes are higher. This is the conclusion of what we've been waiting on, and really to the last moment, I have to say President Snow kept his cool to the, like, I mean, that motherfucker, it's this guy like, I mean, the movie, we're more than halfway through the movie, like, God damn, panic or something,
be rattled, man.
Yeah, do something, say fuck or something, you know?
Yeah.
But, and so it really does keep you kind of worried there, like, man, this guy, it's going to end with him ruling the fucking world.
Yeah.
And maybe it does, maybe it doesn't, I don't know. This smug ass bitch right here. But for me, just from a movie perspective, as I've been saying over and over again, in every other area, I don't think that they had enough time to make these people feel like people. So I didn't really root for a lot of them like I wanted to in this. I mean, this is the one where I'm supposed to go like, fuck yeah. And it's just kind of like, oh, okay, well, we got that done. And maybe and also speaking of the ending, I have to say that I watched the ending and I said, wow, that was really conveniently easy. So, I didn't buy the ending either. I give it a matinee, man. It's a good movie, but I definitely saw the flaws in it.
I won't say I didn't see some flaws, but they seem minor. especially considering everything that's gone on, the way it was telling this much bigger story. And with these franchises, you're always afraid it's just going to blow it in the landing. And it managed to stick it pretty good. It's one of those franchises you can watch from beginning to end, and the worst movie is probably where it starts. So once you get past that, it all gets good from there. It was pretty well intense. I thought it was a really good adaptation of the book. I do wish there could have been more time, just because, reading the book, you really get to feel the characters. And when somebody dies, you get to spend time mourning them, and then you pick it back up again. And here, it's just we got to keep going. And you understand, they are on a mission. There's no time to sit around going oh no, not him.
Oh yeah.
But it would be nice to be able to feel that.
Because they sat down too long, Snow gonna pull one of them traps out.
yeah.
If you don't get up, you gonna make your ass get up.
Yeah. And I don't know what you're saying about the end. It's an interesting thing because it does seem convenient. I thought there's probably a way to film this where it could be more of a shock than what happens. But then what happens right after it was just kind of just desserts and funny in its own way, where it left me satisfied anyway.
I know. It left me half satisfied, but I can't talk about that right now. Man,
but at the very end, when it gets revealed really what was going on, I was like, oh wow, I never really picked up on that, and I like that this brought that out. I think for anybody who's a fan of these movies or these books, it's going to deliver on just about everything you want, and I give it a full price.
Normally I'd be cussing your ass out and disagreeing with you and arguing with you. You know how I am.
Oh, of course.
I'm tempted to do it.
That's your nature.
I'm tempted to do it right now.
You're a Scorpion.
Yeah, Man, I really want to I really want to say something, but I can't. Can y'all just walk away for just 2 minutes? Just 2 minutes, because this shit is bothering me.
Okay.
This asshole right here, even when for those who read the books, Snow gets it at the end.
Right.
And I wanted him to go out screaming in pain.
But he practically did.
No, that motherfucker was laughing. Even when they rushed him, he was just like, I ain't giving y'all the pleasure. I'm like, man, fuck this dude.
No. That's not what I took from that.
I
took from that.
That motherfucker was smiling the whole time.
He was laughing because she shot Coin, and he was so happy that to see Coin get it, and everything he said to her worked, and he's laughing. But then his cancer cough is coming, and he looked up and saw that mob coming at him. He's like, and that was it.
No,
y'all are seeing this two completely different ways.
Maybe I'm just so used to seeing his ass.
I was just I had that feeling too. Don't tell me he's gonna get. Even though I read the fucking book, I was like, don't let him get away with this. And then they fucking mob tore his ass apart. I was like, good.
No, man, I saw it too. Maybe I'm just used to seeing that motherfucker smile all the time.
Yeah.
I've been conditioned to see that grin after all these fucking years,
Only
man.
thing laughing after that scene was his skeleton.
Fuck this dude, man. You know what? Don't ever dress like President Snow around me for Halloween, because I will kill your ass. I will murder you.